Welcome back to another video today discussing DBDR, this channel that I've been watching for a while. This guy is one of the most negative people you've ever heard of. In fact, you would think that this guy has been locked in a cage for his entire life, is how depressed he sounds. And so he came up with this video, and this video is somewhat brilliant. The title, that is, Barbershop Brutality, Traumatized by a Haircut, period. Hair is life, period. Now, let's see what has him so depressed, and let's see also why this video has 1.5 thousand likes on YouTube and 35,000 views. Amazing, right? All right, this is really important. Just watch the beginning portion of the video.
All right, today I want to talk about something that happened this Sunday, which I got my first haircut in probably quite a while. You know, I've always had relatively long hair, especially to cover my face because I'm not the best looking person in the world. I don't really think
Okay, first problem right there, right? So first of all, he starts the video by going like you already hate your life, and that's not going to be good, right? So obviously, he's just showing Black Ops 3 Shinonuma Remastered, which I love, but yeah, so you can look at me instead. And so basically, he's depressed. He says, I haven't cut my hair in a while. Well, first of all, that's a bad sign. That means what? That you don't care about yourself. You don't care about how you're groomed and whatever have you. And so now he's going to say that he had long hair his whole life because he's trying to cover his face. First of all, that doesn't really work, right? Covering your face just makes you look greasy, kind of like a Tom Carpenter villain or whatever, Rob Zombie, that sort of like extra character aesthetic. And that's not great. And so you're dealing with somebody in this case who is just embodying every negative stereotype you could possibly think of, school shooter vibes, etc. Plus, you've got a guy in here in this video that is looking as if he's like, again, trying to cover up his face. The only way that works, for girls, for example, if you have like bangs or something, sure. But if you're just having hair going like this, you look creepy is the problem. Let's play the video.
Even qualify as average either. And I was thinking about what my dad said, about, oh, well, maybe, the reason why people aren't hiring you is because your haircut. You need to get a haircut. And I was thinking about it. And
Okay, first mistake right there. So when he talks about his dad, he quotes him in such a bullshit way, in such a negative way. And again, that means that he didn't have a strong father figure. I would never quote my dad like that. Dude, if you get your fucking haircut. I mean, you're trying to sound like Patrick Star, which I suppose is like what he grew up on. But the fact is that your dad probably doesn't sound like that. And if he does, then that's a big L on your part. I guess it's not your fault, but I mean, it is what it is. But it kind of explains, right? A sort of person that would quote their dad with that sort of intonation kind of gives away what sort of parenthood they had growing up or the lack thereof. Whereas if I were to quote something my dad would say, I would never use that sort of intonation. And so it kind of gives you a little bit of an insight.
I was like, you know what? Because I over the past year, I wanted to shave my head bald just for my old job to make it easier. But instead, the opposite happened. I ended up just, kept growing and growing and growing. And I just never had time to get a haircut.
That's the biggest crock of shit ever as well, right? Oh, I didn't have time to cut my hair. Why? What do you mean? You're playing a video game right here. You didn't have time? Son, really? I'm your dad now, bitch. Okay, son, you've been playing on this fucking game. You're on round 2. That's enough time to get in your car at least, okay? What? You cannot drive, 15 minutes to get your haircut? Really? You don't have time? You don't have time? What, are you a surgeon or something?
And, I've never in my life paid for a haircut. I had an aunt who owned a hair salon, and she would do it for free for me, every couple months. I would just, schedule an appointment, and she'd do it for me for free.
Now, that is brutal. That is blackpilling as shit, okay? Having your aunt cut your hair is like a red flag. Never have it happen, okay? This is terrible.
So, this is the first time I got my own haircut, had to pay for it, which it was $50, including the tip, which I'm going to be honest, I highway robbery, $50 for a haircut, and I'm not even joking at all. I'm actually traumatized by it. I'm traumatized by my haircut.
Shut it down, buddy. Really? And then people like this will wonder, oh, I don't have a girlfriend. Bro, you're traumatized over a haircut. We've all had bad haircuts. And, it is okay to cry. I mean, if you're 5 years old, okay, like in 2008, did you cry? Maybe I did when I got a shitty haircut. But the fact is that nowadays, in this decade, to cry over it is super, super pansy-like. And what's better than that is that he's going around saying he got highway robbery or whatever have you. Okay, so you paid $50 for a haircut. I mean, dude, when you walk into the salon or whatever have you, this haircut establishment, okay, the barbershop ought to have the prices out there. And if you talk to the guy and he's like, well, it's $38 and then the tip. Okay, How do you pay that? I mean, you knew what you were signing up for. He probably went to the closest place to his house and then was too lazy to look up someplace that was cheaper, and now he's bitching about it, okay? So again, most of his problems are his fault. And, was he blessed with good genetics, with good face? No. But the fact is that even an ugly guy ought to be able to get a good haircut. You're not bald yet, right?
And you're probably thinking, like, dude, there's no way, you're joking. Who the fuck gets traumatized by a fucking haircut? But you don't even understand, guys, because, first off, I'm at two options right now. I can either shave it all off, get the fade, whatever normal haircut everybody else has, or just, ignore it and grow it out again. But I'm definitely, this is the thing, $50 for a haircut. Like, I don't know how to cut my own hair. I've been thinking about it heavily over the past few days.
So there's no other options to cut your hair someplace else. Like it has to be 50 or nothing.
Just go and just fucking shave it all off. I was thinking about giving myself the baldetary cut because I just can't cope with this haircut. Like, I'm not even joking. When I came home, my dad he said that I looked like Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka. And the haircut that I asked for, so this is what happened. So I got excited. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get a haircut. And there's always this fucking haircut I wanted when I was younger. It was the Brad Pitt from World War Z. I don't know why, like when I was a kid, I always thought that haircut was cool for some reason. Probably just because it's Brad Pitt. I mean, Jesus Christ, he'll look good with any haircut. He'll look good with any haircut. It doesn't really matter. And this is the thing, like, I was like Googling different types of haircuts, guys. And, I was just like looking at them all. I'm like, all these haircuts look good. And, I noticed that every single person that showcased these haircuts, they were all male models.
Why are you surprised and why are you upset at that? Why did that take him so long to notice that? Wait, they have good-looking guys wearing fucking the hair? And also, how stupid is he when he's like, oh, I want to have the Brad Pitt haircut from World War Z, which is like the shittiest one he's ever had. When in reality, when you're talking about this guy, again, it looked good because it was Brad Pitt with the hair, obviously. If you look here, I mean, his haircut wasn't good at all here. This was shit. Oh, my favorite haircut was the Brad Pitt one in World War Z. This is by far his worst hair ever, man. The long hair, are you kidding me? Like, again, it only looks good on him because he's him. Duh. Okay, so I had a bad haircut less than a month ago. Okay, watch this. So, worst hair day ever. This is a solo fade is what they call it, right? So this was horrible. It's been horrible. It's been tough, okay? This is without combing it. This is my headphone deck because I was wearing headphones, so that's the crease. See, it's a struggle. We all have these moments. It's tough. It's real. It's tough. It's real.
At this point, because it's like, holy shit, it just looks so bad. And man, like the rearview mirror right now, I don't even want to look in it. And yeah, I don't know. I've just been depressed over the past couple of days because of it.
Folks, I've been depressed over the haircut. I want to look in the rearview mirror, but I can't. I can't even look in the mirror. He's depressed over a fucking haircut, but just wear a hat. How bad could it be, man? Holy shit.
I shouldn't have given her a tip because I didn't even really know what the haircut looked like. I don't know if she was just doing that to fuck with me. I don't know, but it literally does not even look like the Brad Pitt haircut. And of course, you want to know something funny too? My grandma goes, "You look so handsome. You look so handsome." It's like, of course you're. This is the thing. Your grandma. It doesn't matter what you look like. I could literally, guys, be like a burn victim with 90% of my face burned off, no ears, no nose, no eyes, and my grandma would still say, "You're so handsome. You look like Brad Pitt. Oh my god." So it's the most.
He's completely right, obviously. But to think that he's like, the grandma's compliment weighs so much in his mind because he's so down bad to where he has this whole psychology as to how that works out is so funny to me. And so, yeah, if you're good looking or if you're ugly, a grandmother would still call you handsome. That is true. But for him to give that much of a shit about what the grandma says to begin with is such a noteworthy thing to say. No good looking guy has ever said, "Oh, my grandma said no." So funny.
Useless advice and thing to hear when your grandmother tells you you're handsome. Anyone in your family telling you you're handsome. And, my dad, of course, he's like cracking jokes. He's like, "Oh, it looks fine. It looks fine." And I'll be the first person to say this. If anybody tells you guys, if anyone says to your face, "You look fine," or "That's fine," it's not fine.
Okay, that is true. Fine. Okay, oh yeah, fair enough. And this is like high school 101. But at the same time, you have to consider that your dad's perspective is the right one. Your dad sees that you have a shitty haircut and he says, "No, it's fine, son." Okay, that's being a man. That is, okay, it'll grow back in like 3 weeks. Just shut the fuck up already, okay? Wear a hat. Do what you need to. But don't go. Don't go. Even him, self-destructive, you could say near suicidal ideation with this guy where he's like, "Oh, I just need to shave it all off." What, so that it can be a buzz cut like what you're bitching about having right now or whatever the haircut was? How does shaving it fix anything, you fucking imbecile? It'd look even weirder for longer. I mean, this is just not logical with this guy. He's just mentally ill.
I don't want to pay for another one just because I don't have the money. I might just go bald. Maybe I should do some jester maxing shit. Maybe I should just, shave the Dr. Phil haircut into my head and, make a social experiment and see how people treat me as a video. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
This is just complete Copesville. This guy, and I skipped over like 15 straight minutes of copium talking about like people in his high school chemistry class. I don't fucking care. Look, the point is that this guy is clearly, I mean, he's a loser. I mean, that's low-hanging fruit, but it's better to just say, well, first of all, he's a bigger channel than me. He's doing something right. And what he has going on right is that he's commiserating with a lot of other losers. And so what that means is that clearly there is a market for this. And what's depressing about it, in an esoteric sense, is how many people relate with his life situation where he's bitching about how his expensive haircut is something he has to cope with because he can't afford another one, which is like a pathetic lot in life to be able to be like in the position to bitch that much about it. To be in a position where you're depressed over a haircut. Also, plus, if the guy's already ugly, like he claims, okay, well, I completely believe you, by the way, just with the way you act. Okay, fine. If that's true, then caring about your hair so much is so gay. Who cares? It's not a big deal. And then, to relate it to like, oh, I'm going to gesture max. I'm going to shave it. I'm going to do the Dr. Phil haircut. That is just pathetic. That is like straight up Joker. Doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Because it's over for me at this point. I don't really, I could, the Dr. Phil haircut, I don't know. Wouldn't really matter. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now.
Okay, so that's your lot in life, folks. So basically this guy, you might think, well, he has some sort of following, so he has some sort of talent, but if all his content is over commiseration, which is something anybody can get along with, that's enough of a loser, then what is he going to do? Like, could you imagine him sort of commentating anything else, and would it be interesting? Probably not. So he found a niche, and good enough for him, because without this sort of video format, what he would be doing is just bitching to himself, mumbling on Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies. And so if that's the case, then I guess good for you. But the fact is that there is a problem in society writ large if we're having thousands of people subscribe to a channel in which this is the predominant content. People only find this to be content if, number one, they think it's funny, in which case, okay, fine, or two, if they relate to it. If they relate to it, then there's a lot of losers, which is to be expected, but also at the same time, you have to think, what the fuck is going wrong with the country? To where we have a generation of people who are being fixated with their hair to the point where they're crying over a fucking haircut, where they're thinking of ending it, rhetorically speaking, because they're talking about how somebody at the Walmart might think of them different, which is ridiculous, or having this deep psychological explanation as to why he doesn't validate his grandmother calling him handsome. And even though he is right about a lot of things, but being so pessimistic is just not being, it's really just not resourceful. And so unless you're a loser that won't make it, commiserating at the bottom of the crab bucket really doesn't make sense. And so I don't really blame him for being a loser because I'm pretty sure he's pretty dysgenic, so it's okay. But there's, a subset of people, and this is the type of people that I'm trying to like make listen to me a little bit. It's like, okay, look, there's probably some guy who's like out of shape, 16 years old, doesn't get any girls. Okay, that makes sense. But he might commiserate with this DBDR guy way too much for his own good. And he could actually turn out to be a decent looking adult guy who actually gets laid eventually, but he's not there yet. And so if a 16-year-old stumbles onto this sort of black pill content over here in the DBDR sector, okay, well, if that happens, they might actually just become a loser. The self-deprecation loop of, well, it's over, it's the girl's fault, I'm an incel, that sort of thing is not positive. And the retort by these people would be like, well, actually, you're being a fake positive grifter or something. And it's like, well, no, I'm just saying if there's a possibility to win in life, you got to go for it. It's your obligation to the society to uplift everybody, right? That's why everybody ought to work or otherwise contribute. Whereas in this case, this guy is just commiserating. And the problem is not that he's commiserating with some other 30-year-old reject or some burnout that's been out of high school forever and, won't make it. Okay, fine, whatever. That sort of like stalker at the Amazon warehouse. I don't give a fuck about that guy. He can go and rot. But when we're talking about how there's more than likely some percentage of people that are still in high school or maybe even in college that are late bloomers, that are these wallflowers, these sort of people, that probably if they just worked out, they'd probably get out of this whole inceldom. Then that is a problem because those people are being captured in the malaise and molasses of this sort of content. That is, again, self-assuring and just like, oh, I'm a loser. That unemployment line gets longer the more that you bitch. And so that's the problem with the DBDR people. And it's not even his fault because he's not telling these young people to give up, but he is implying it by saying, well, oh, we can play video games, you can have a little bit of like fun commiserating over our bullshit lives. Okay, well, that's enabling a cope. And so yeah, if you're under the age of 18 and you already gave up on women, then I think that is a huge problem. If you're over 25 and you gave up, okay, I don't care. You're not missed. Anyway, see y'all in the next video. Adios.